Hello, hello. We are here with our next segment of Dark Heresy. We have the rest of the group in Discord ready to go for me. I personally am probably going to get some heat from them because I'm 5 minutes late. We had some guests over, making sure they were all square for the next couple hours so we can do what we need to do. Which, of course, is Dark Heresy. We have our fourth official segment today. Let's jump over to the studio. Talk about it a little more. Streamlabs, as always, absolutely cherry. Thank you for playing that twice. Hello, I'm Sent Sterling, and if you don't know, we host a Dark Heresy session here every Sunday, and today's episode number 4. If you need any kind of filling in, I guess, go watch the other ones, or don't. It's up to you. I'm gonna get our friends in right now. Let's get them from the Discord. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
What's going on?
Wow.
I'm very sorry for the 5 minutes late. We have guests right now, and I want to make sure they were all squared away. We may have gone ham last night, and so, well,
We heard.
you did, huh?
I gave a short version.
You do. It was probably still pretty long. So
Apparently I sound sick, which is awesome.
Yeah.
not everyone handles their booze the same. You know what I mean? I'm personally feeling great. This is actually the best I felt on a Sunday for our Dark Heresy in a long time. I actually feel fantastic. So
How?
I know. It's terrible.
Not working.
So we do actually have I drank like almost a bottle of very, very nice whiskey last night. Good God.
Yeah.
But oh boy, Jesus. It was fantastic. Just like today's gonna be, I'm sure. We're looking forward to how many we've had a 1 so far, or is it we had a 100 and a 1, that's what it was. So if I'm not mistaken, on one of your characters, Sarah, you rolled a 1 already?
Nyla rolled a 1. She's in the past.
And then and then we also had D-Beck, who was in the past as well, who rolled a 100 with his stank breath. That's been resolved, but we won't even talk about them because today we have Alana, Ethis, Gaius, Vitus, Baxter, and Petal, which were, I think, 6 of the 40k Santa's reindeer, and
Yes.
and it's going to be really nice. So that's who's going to be with us today. So you guys, is everybody here? First of all, I guess I should be asking that. Kind of important. Looks like it. Looks like it. Well, I'm personally looking forward to this because I actually feel awake, which is like crazy. Like I think I'm fully acclimated to the idea that I kind of stream on Sundays now. Took a little bit. Oh no, don't play me from before. Don't do that. I'm pulling up our one thing I'm not yet acclimated to is YouTube's streaming platform. One of the things that if you've heard extra hemming and hawing from me, I'm actually still really getting used to that. They have so many. Stop it. They have so many different features. Okay, I think we're good though. Yes, great. So today though, we do want to talk a bit about experience because all the characters were introduced. We have 6 in the past, 6 in the present, and our 6 characters in both time slots all got 400 experience. Now, what does that mean? Because we're really homebrewing stuff, and so there's a lot that. First of all, we're homebrewing because it's not very well set up in the rules to begin with, and so we are kind of moving to both accommodate for a little extra fun and also for correcting some of the silliness. And by the way, hello everybody in chat, Caldwell, King, hey. But we want to get going with the experience. So I'm gonna move this over to this. And oh, you know what? Never mind. Actually, I want to do. We're gonna go to the monitor. Let's do that. I'll see you guys there.
Oh, you muted.
I did, yeah, because I was pulling down my screen. So we have this right here. This is the adept sheet. So if you can see it, great. If not, don't worry about it. But with getting 400 experience in each of your characters, what that means is twofold. One, you can buy moves, which is great. You want to do that. That's something that you want to do as you continue. You don't want to basically pool them up for something down the road, because you actually go down the road by using experience. So this is really important, and I don't think we covered this specifically enough. My apologies. But an archivist is going to be your very first tier. You all are now in your second tier for each of your 6 characters, assuming you spend over 500 experience. And I think that it's very likely that you have. So if we open the, you want to be cool? Okay, so you'll see that you can at any time buy more weapon skill, ballistic skill. These are your main stats on your page. You can do that at any time. And of course, for your very first tier, the one up here at the top, they're organized into the different classes here. You can spend backward, and if we talk about it, you can spend forward. There are some cases that's going to make some sense, like let's say that it's common lore Imperium plus 20. If you're an adept, like, you just hit the books a little hard. It might cost more to spend ahead of where you are, but I'm okay with that. There are not a lot of scenarios. I'm really into telling you yes more than I am no. I would really rather make the story work around you having too much going on than the other way around. I don't want you to feel limited. So that's something to bear in mind. And then of course, if you're not 100% sure, there are prerequisites. As we get further down the line, you're going to start seeing that these have actual necessary things. So you couldn't buy Pilot Craft 10 without having Pilot Craft. That does come up. As a dual class, because again, it's not really a thing. We kind of made it up. Oh my goodness, that's still there. Oh, I'm silly. Get out of here. Shoot. Thank you. Anyway, my follower goal from the normal Twitch was still there. Anyway, we have we'll take Nigel as our example, who is an adept and he's also an arbiter. So here, he has two tiers working on the same character. It's almost a disadvantage though, because when you are leveling up, you have 400 experience, which means you're going to be advancing. You could split it up, of course, but you had 400, and if you spent it all evenly, like I say, it was 200, 200. In order to go to tier 2, you have to spend 500. Well, technically 499. That's in that tier list. It shows the necessary steps for that. So it's oh my god, why didn't it do this? Anyway, does that make sense? I understand that it's odd. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any question I can answer about that? I kept trying to, I was getting screenshots and rewriting. There were some questions that were asked to me during the week, and I was trying to answer it, but I kept making I kept rereading it, and I'm like, this is convoluted as shit. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not actually helping. And so I ended up just kind of foregoing that for this explanation where we could talk about it rather than, we just prattle. Is there something more I can explain about that?
I think I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
Okay.
I think I'm okay on that.
Okay.
I think my main question was the starting skills for both classes. Do you get them as well?
Yeah. So if, let's say, you're looking at your Arbiter, you do start with it's some pretty basic stuff. And for the most part, it's inconsequential. So you have things like, I have to go to them. Can somebody give me an example of one of their starting skills?
It's like basic weapons training.
I wrote them all down.
Special, I think.
Getting stuff like common lore for Arbites is a thing that you have.
Perfect. Yeah, and then like high Gothic or low Gothic. Sure, that would be another one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get them all. And it doesn't mean that like
Weapons
if you have
training, that sort of thing.
right, but it doesn't double, right? Because they are different.
Mhm.
In the way that our rules work, it's common lore Imperium. That's one thing. And so if you have common lore Imperium on one, if you have common lore Imperium on another, you don't get common lore Imperium plus 10 because they're separate. Plus 10 is its own thing. That's its own move. And so you have common lore, and then if you were to get the next common lore, that's actually called plus 10. They don't necessarily stack. So it's something that I hope that's also clear. But you do get all
Just
the
real
starting
quick.
skills for both. Yeah.
Because you said that since we're on a water world, we get swim. So
Correct.
to swim, do we have to put the XP into swim as well, or do we automatically just have it since we're all?
You have it. You
Equal
will
of
not.
the-
You will not suffer disadvantage for swim.
Okay, just
and
wanted to check.
Yeah, and that's really good because the thing is, it's not something that like I'm expecting to come up a lot. It's just something that like I just, I mean on Sundays I do, Robert, but we have it's kind of hard to say because it really comes down to how much you guys get in the water. So we have a
Never.
what's that?
Said never.
Never.
Oh, never.
Never
Okay,
get
never.
in the
Okay.
water.
Yeah, I thought you said something about a member, and I was like, what? So
you are not catching Baxter in the water.
fine by me. Fine by me. The reason is
course.
simply because I don't want a whole bunch of people who live surrounded by water to have to be like, let me skill in. Oh my God, I have disadvantage in water because I only got one. You'll be fine. There won't be an advantage or disadvantage. You'll go at your, I think it's a strength check. And I might, depending on what it is, change it to an agility check. It really depends on the situation. But it's no, you'll be fine. You don't need to spec into it. You can if you want. If you're like, I really want to go Michael Phelps on this bitch, and I want to I'm going to start doing laps in the kelp. I love the way kelp feels on me when I swim over it. It tickles. I love
Out
it.
of my head.
And and so it's like, you know, if that's what you're about and that's what you make the whole rest of the campaign about, oh, that's so weird. But, you know, also your prerogative. So that's fine. You could do that. I don't care. That's up to you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take where we left off. But here's the deal. I watched some of the footage. I felt like I wasn't even watching me. I'll be honest with you. I was so sleepy. And you guys were so chill. But I want to hear you guys tell me where you're at. Because you're in the present, right? We had our Three Stooges moment. We also had, well, why don't you tell me? What's going on?
Well, I was trying to get Baxter's hat because it's so damn shiny while we were at the party, and we I think it was it Petal that had a conversation with the Inquisitor?
Yeah, Petal had a full-on chat, nice lovely dinner, a whole monologue with the Inquisitor.
And it's important, somebody told you it was an Inquisitor.
Right.
And it was
Sergeant.
basically
But you didn't get his name.
Multiple people told us it was an Inquisitor. It was the sergeant saying, "Why were you talking to the Inquisitor?" And then the guests also saying it was.
Nobody mentioned his name though.
No, never got a name.
But we were still technically there. Like, you had just finished talking to the Sarge and hyping up the Sarge, or hyping up the Arbites, trying to get some more funding, I believe.
Well,
That's
Baxter was hyping up the office chairs.
Yes, absolutely correct. Baxter was fully, just basically relishing in the power of the chair, the luster. And of course, just in case it wasn't clear, y'all are going to be in the present today. It's going to be together for the first time for real. How nice. So that was going on. Baxter, all about the chair. Y'all were, I think you had just actually finished a conversation. You had just heard from somebody speaking that there was exciting news, right? What was going on?
Yeah, we were celebrating the potential to go back to the 4th floor after the cataclysm we do not speak of, the great disaster.
It was just super shitty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we helped with the we got the commitment from
That's right, the commitment.
observators.
Bonus points. Yeah. The commitment.
Yeah.
The commitment from floor 3. And
Yes.
you were a part of that.
Sucked and was soul sucking.
It was
So
literally
we
soul
ditched it
sucking.
as
Y'all
soon
got
as we had the
soul
opportunity.
sucked like it was your job. So, in fact, there was some actual corruption there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh no, my points didn't save. I think I took 2.
Luckily, there's actual footage of last session.
Oh,
I'll have to go back and look, but I'm gonna put a
Yeah.
placeholder number.
Cool. And 2 is fine. It's just not going to amount to anything now. So it's something
It was
that
between 2 and 5. I have to go back and look.
2 and 5. Now, and there was somebody who approached you about something when you guys were down there. You were basically given an ultimatum, like, we need you to get to work. What's going on with your? What are you doing? Do you want to come help us out with a commitment, or what was going on about something? Something else is going on.
Dive teams.
Was there any
Dive
specifics
teams.
given, or were they just mentioning dive teams? I mean, that sounds kind of
They
cool. But
needed-
just love swimming. Baxter
They
does.
needed. Well, luckily Baxter's not here. They needed escorts for the dive teams.
Huh.
I don't know if that means we need to dive or if we're like escorting them
The
to
divers.
the place that they will dive and then waiting for them to come back. But we decided anything was better than
Having to
listening
witness the
people
commitment.
beg for their lives.
The commitment.
Well,
Just a
flung them around.
meta moment for you. It just got worse the longer you were there, and you just got more soul sucked the longer you were there. And it's not because it was like
Yeah.
bad. It's because it's actually something that happens every year, and
No thanks.
it's something that that you're not even unfamiliar with. Not necessarily. It's something that like kind of happens and like you hear about. It's kind of like how you know that SeaWorld is shitty, but you don't ever like. You don't really have like a lot of conversations about how it's shitty. At least maybe I don't think you do. You're just kind of like, it just kind of sucks. But there's enough things that I got to take care of that like I just know it sucks and I put that on the back burner. It's kind of like that. You're like, that's. I really wish that were different,
Yeah.
but I got to pay the rent, so it's like that. So you've got a situation here. You were told what. To go to the tent basically to just keep helping out. You were given opportunities to even go in the tent if you really wanted to. You could steal the bus and be like, no, not these people. I am going to save them. You could do whatever you want. So obviously, we know what happened. You didn't do that, and you were approached. Do you remember by whom?
Oh, nope.
It's not a big
We
deal.
weren't really
It's not a test.
approached. The woman we were working with, the sergeant.
Sergeant Cam?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. She mentioned because when we came down, she's like, "Oh, are you here to help us with the commitment, or were you supposed to go with the dive team?" And we were like, "The what?
Right. She
And then
was
she's like,
expecting
well, I don't
somebody.
know a lot about it.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go ask." And we were like, "We would rather do anything else."
Okay, very good. That's 10 out of 10. You guys remembered everything. Fantastic. Love it. So what we're gonna do is pick up right where we left off. We have our first couple folks. We've been playfully calling them the Three Stooges, but in reality they are Fidus, Baxter, and Petal, with the good Sergeant Raheem. No, I'm sorry, you went with Raheem. Raheem is, never mind. That was who, doesn't matter.
She
We didn't
was
have
the
you guys in Raheem.
hungover
That
one.
was the one that you guys met. So you guys are with the sergeant though in the Great Hall, and you're there. They just basically wrap things up, and it's with you guys that we're going to start today. So, you guys are kind of swept up in a big announcement, a big meeting. There's a lot of checks being written out. It's not actually checks. It's basically just the currency in 40K, if you're unfamiliar, is thrones or throne guilt. Again, just a very, very brief recap. Y'all are inside of an empire, and it's super sci-fi. The emperor of this empire isn't really alive. He's alive-ish, but he basically is a corpse on a throne. And his presence, his essence, he's not kicked off the throne because A, like, who would do that to the Big E? And 2, because of his, we'll call it psychic presence, it lingers. And it actually acts as a lighthouse when traveling through the warp, which is like their light speed. So, and it's way more complicated than that, but we're not going to get into that. The throne is something that there's one holiday that everyone observes in the entire Imperium of Man. It's Emperor's Day. That's what it is. That's the only holiday. Now you'll have local customs, but everyone, everywhere. Yes, yeah, true Caldwell. The fact is, it's such a big deal that there's actually a church about them. They're known as the Ecclesiarchy. We haven't really heard a lot about the Ecclesiarchy here, which is interesting. That's something that anybody who expects this to hold any relevance at all to the 40K lore would probably be curious about. I digress. For your characters, though, they're not. You grew up here, and honestly, you just don't have that kind of presence. It's something that, like, you know about, but as far as you're concerned, it's something that you know that the Emperor banned religion. Clearly, everywhere in the entire Imperium, they've gone on to make the exception for the Emperor's worship. But if the Emperor were actually present, he would be pissed that there's a church about him. But it's been 10,000 years, so he's kind of just bones on a thrones.
We're just assuming what he likes at this point.
Yeah, we're just guessing. We're just like, oh, you know what? The Emperor speaks to me. I think you guys should give me all your money. That kind of happens a lot. So
the Big E needs your seed money, bruh.
That's right. Send your seed for the Big E. And we're going to go now to this incredibly lavish room with large statues of figures that you guys don't really recognize, but there are 4 monumental, huge statues that respect the traditional 40K Gothic themes that we are used to. And it's something that is always going to have those black tips. I mean, you've seen cathedrals, y'all know. Even if you're not fans of 40K, you know what this looks like. And we're actually gonna move back over to, yes, there we go. Now, the deal with the, no, we're in a studio, excuse me. Pardon me. I'm fucking with the actual stream here. So you guys are actually in this super duper fancy room with stained glass that goes all the way up. It's stone that was clearly pulled from off-world. When your great city was set up, hold on. When your great city was set up, these were basically brought here. They were brought here from somewhere, cool, whatever. But when this enormous hive city was set up, they were more or less imported brick, very fancy. This is the top tier. This is the richest of the richest, and this is where they have balls and hang out. So it's very, very elegant. Enormous statues, traditional 40K Gothic architecture, gold tip, bronze tip. It's just beautiful through and through. These statues, made even of a different stone, likely due to the reverence of the subjects. But everybody's there. They're handing out checks, thrones. And let's get an observation, a perception check from our trio of fellas.
All right.
It could flat 20.
21.
67.
67. So, nothing really jumps out at you. The sergeant is actually kind of shooting you panicked glances as one of the more lavishly people kind of wraps his arm around his shoulder and starts gesturing away and kind of leads him out the door onto the steps outside of the room. And he's kind of like, like kind of just panicked glances back at you guys. That you don't really perceive anything. He's not in danger. But he's like, oh God, because he was kind of complaining about how he doesn't like them. They're rich assholes. So, you have the room here, a lot of people right next to Petal is that woman who's now gorging herself on the food that Petal had picked up and been warned against eating by the tall fella. And you know, she's just like, oh wow, you guys were talking about this, it's gotta be good. Again, she was having trouble choking it down. She's not having any better luck right now, but she's just trying to make sure she gets all of it. That's not fun. People are kind of breaking up from their crowd setting into smaller little cliques, likely due to family or business arrangements. The festival's starting soon, and you can kind of hear little buzz conversations about harvests and how things are going well on 3. They should have a perfectly profitable year. What's the move?
So Baxter, last time, he kind of, I don't know, convinced that lady to visit the precinct, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, he suggested it, and she was, sure. I believe that was Larissa von Modus.
Well, he wants to go and find her and personally offer to escort her there.
Larissa is the name I wrote down for the lady with a bunch of rings and is funneling seafood into her crawl.
Oh, that was her.
Lily Biotis.
Oh, is that the one? Okay. These are just a bunch of rich assholes. What was that one, Ron? The last one?
Lily Biotis?
There it is.
The people hosting the party?
Yeah, that's it.
Lily Baguette.
Yeah. I have all the attendees here, and I just kind of was like grabbing people, and they were like doing things. A lot of it's inconsequential, but Lady Biotti, that was who you spoke with. The woman who was going to go visit the precinct. Swell. And she actually kind of went to go to her fainting couch afterward because she was kind of taken aback by the idea that she would go to the Arbites chapter precinct. It was kind of overwhelming. You rolled very, very well, and so the idea stuck that she's like, huh, what's that?
You broke her brain.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, but
she kind of wandered away.
In real time experiencing a paradigm
shift.
She
is. She really is. Yeah, you witnessed it happen. There were clicks that have never been clicked before. And she's like, why doesn't it, staggering off, come to me, though? Just staggering off away to like go find a fainting couch somewhere. So if you'd like to, you can actually just kind of go back behind the behind the scenes. There's going to be offices, there's a second floor, balconies, but it's all kind of pushed behind the main kind of gala room. It's the main
fancy rich people bullshit. Yeah. So we saw the Sarge get dragged away. I know that there was a collection of thrones or checks or what have you. Mm-hmm. We're here to like play nice, make money, and not embarrass the sergeant. Is there any like marks? Anybody who, with Petal's background of scrounging, has something particularly nice where we can just like maybe make some money off of real quick before we leave? Just, get that check for the Arbites office exclusively.
Oh,
anyone
naturally.
who hasn't made a donation already or can make a bigger one.
And if, maybe somebody has like a finder's percentage, I mean, like, I can't, who's to say that's not the wrong move? Let's go ahead. Let's roll another perception for you specifically with the mind of Scrounge involved. That's kind of That's kind of a stretch, but we'll use it. I like it. Let's do it.
13. Has my perception changed with experience?
As it happens, the champagne has been flowing ever since the announcements that the pumps might come on 4 soon. That means larger production areas and a lot of the automatic manufacturing facilities that were on 4 that were used to not pull the kelp. That's done a lot manually, but a lot of the oil extraction, again, your major import is anything but kelp. Your major export is basically fuel. It's just super clean lubricant, and I think it's probably going to be a good mix of both, but it's not something you know a lot about. So you just know kelp is involved, and you know that the extraction process is currently done by hand. That sucks. So getting those facilities, again, a lot of people have been pouring champagne like crazy, and there's one individual in particular who seems to have jumped in head first. And you can make your way to him, but you can see that he's actually kind of catching himself on his back leg every third or fourth word. He's happy. He's talking to people. He's got his hand on somebody, and he's giving him some of these. He's drunk.
You're having a good time.
It's a great time. What a great time.
I absolutely agree. Having a wonderful time hearing about the expanse that could open up on 4. We're all just so excited, right? So excited.
I'm probably the most excited. My family, we have... Oh. Who are you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name's Petal Lomstead.
And he holds out his hand to this wobbly man.
Yeah, Orchis, please, you're welcome. It's okay. You don't need to... I'm Jeremias Orchis.
Jeremias Orchis.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's got a great name.
Good God.
So let's get a fellowship roll from you. He's gonna roll against you, by the way.
Fuck you, Jeremias. That's a 9.
Beats a 64. So he reaches out a hand to shake your hand, and what's your move here?
Genuinely, Petal is just going to talk this man's ear off and be like, if the floor is opening up, we're going to have a lot more space, a lot more openings for agriculture and processes. We need people. We need protection for the Arbeites office, cough. He'll even toss it and be like, yeah, my family's whole thing was like making manufacturing things and fatigue pads to help facilitate the process. So we all know getting it on the ground floor of a venture, right? So if we could get any real investment on your behalf for the Arbeites office and protection or getting it on the ground floor, imagine how that could greatly increase your profits. If you were so inclined, if that's something that matters. If not, it's all for charity.
Jeremias, I'm assuming you took the handshake?
Yeah.
Okay. So you took the handshake. He leans into it. And actually, he really leans into it. And he puts his hand on your shoulder and he's like, listen. I like the way you do things. I respect it. You can call me Jer. I want you to have my personal Vox information. I have to go. But I have to go. But I want... Alright. And then he kind of blows past you, not shoulder checking you out of malice, but out of urgency. And he kind of does a couple sways and he hand on a statue. And it just kind of musters beyond.
Cool. Just for safety's sake, can I confirm with a Medicaid test, because we did get experience, that this is just drunkenness and not anything untoward?
Yeah, go ahead.
Take a shot. Probably not. 58.
58. You don't notice anything. In fact, your curiosity is probably not piqued, but you're just like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah,
But
so
you do.
immediately,
He actually gave you his card while he blew past you, trying to keep everything inside. And it has his full name, but he wanted you to call him Jer. And he didn't really get into why, but he did give you his personal information. Interesting. Yeah.
Copy.
So, unfortunately, that was a bust. Anybody else in the room here want to do anything?
I think what Fidus would have done, since he's been kind of putting on the show of trying to steal the hat with the Stooges and stuff, would he have clocked where the Inquisitor left and what direction they went?
Yeah, he went out the front door. The giant, super lavish, just like there. It's actually almost dizzying to look at because they're like, oh, we can put more bullshit on this, and they just kept putting more in the stonework. But he went out, and there it is. That's where he went.
Okay, I think Fidus would have kind of shadowed a little bit to kind of see where they're going and maybe follow them a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, and so for you, at a distance. Oh, okay. So
yeah, just kind of keeping eyes on them, thinking that the not trusting the seafood seemed a little extra shady for an Inquisitor, I suppose. But
okay, so you went after the Inquisitor. Now, I just want to be clear because he left a little bit ago. It's probably been about 20 minutes. So, is that something you did immediately, or is that something you're doing now? You're kind of like, you made a note and you're going now.
Yeah, like he would have clocked and kept a distance and just kind of followed outside the party just to kind of see where they went, but not too far from the party, just to kind of keep eyes on at least the general direction of where they were going. Maybe Fidus knows C-33, 412 really well, could kind of inference which direction that they might have been heading.
Well, so you did that initially, and you're acting on that information now. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So
I feel like that would have been kind of retroactive over like what everybody else is doing at the party.
Okay. So Fidus opens the door, and let's get a perception check from Fidus.
23.
23. So what happens is when you open the door, you can see that the Inquisitor actually is right there. He's on effectively. When you came up into this lavish ballroom, there's a kind of like a meeting area at the top of these large steps, little statues, little ornate arches, everything. There's a lattice because we're outside now. We can get some organics, and they are. You get the soft breeze coming by, again, artificially warmed and scented. You're in paradise. Floor 1, good stuff. So you've got a great view. The sun, because you guys started your journey early, is actually coming up. It's almost midday. Gentle rays come down, and the temperature being controlled, you have a pretty day in front of you. Again, you've got it made. We actually have the sun out most of the year, pretty cloudy. Gentle rays coming down. It is wonderful. It's a wonderful day for a meeting such as this. And you see the Inquisitors having a meeting just beyond the steps, right in front of you, the next tier down, with someone from what appears to be the Mechanicum, judging by the robes. They wear red. Most everybody by now that's close to the festival has started to wear green.
Okay. Would I recognize any more specifics about maybe the rank in the Mechanicum or anything like that?
Not really. You're not a tech priest yourself, correct?
Right. No.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have anything particularly.
But I am scum, and I've seen a lot of the scummy stuff that.
And that doesn't necessarily pertain to the Mechanicum too much.
Right. Yeah. Probably the opposite, right?
And everyone knows about them because you can't turn a lamp on without the Mechanicum. So it's not like they're a mystery beyond the fact that you know that they're very, very steeped in the occult.
Okay. Well, Fidus would take a mental note of that exchange happening just right outside the party, and probably relay that information to the Sarge to let him know that there's other members of the Mechanicum having what seems like some sort of meeting just outside the party.
Yeah, and you notice
just relay the information.
That those who were, and you notice, just as an aside, people who are leaving the party are kind of giving a wide berth, and they're kind of like, oh my god, chitters and intrigue, but no one's approaching. So, okay, you relay that, and what you hear from the Vox coming back is, oh my boy, you do say. Yeah, more funding for the Arbiters again, certainly. And the Vox cuts off. It's just, he basically held the microphone and then let go. He heard you.
Okay.
That's it.
I think Vitus would just kind of be keeping a clock on the Inquisitor and the Mechanicum then, just kind of keeping an eye and seeing what they're up to while everything else is happening.
Okay. And Baxter, how we doing?
So you said the lady is inaccessible at this moment?
No. In fact, as you make your way to the backstage, so to speak, you kind of have your lavish ballroom, and it doesn't necessarily go down in quality, but it's clearly not made for presentation. You start to break into little annals and nice little statues, whatever. Everything has, there's no harsh lighting anywhere. It's all got the proper gels on it, so everyone looks draped in a satin light. But you keep going, and let's get another perception check for you, because you are looking for the specific lady in question here. The one that you spoke with.
18.
Ooh. Okay. And you kind of hear muttering. As you pass one of the offices, there's a door that's kind of ajar, and you go in and, well, maybe you peer in, and you can see that there's a couple couches set up with a coffee table. Very, very nice. A nice water feature on the table. There's an incense burning, but you can kind of hear the muttering of to the Arbiters. Why would he say about the me go to the Arbiters office? You just kind of hear gentle muttering, just confusion. Someone's brain was just opened up.
Well, I'm going to approach her, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to do my best suave accent, which I can't do. My lady, I saw the excitement in your eyes. Please, allow me to escort you to the office chair of your dreams.
Certainly. Roll fellowship, please.
12.
All right.
I hate this.
She actually kind of lifts a hand. You're welcome to take it and escort her from the couch she just started resting on, and at your leisure, she's kind of stunned into silence as you lead her away to your chair. Is that where you head to?
That's exactly where I head to, and I let the sergeant know, of course, on the magical communication device.
Yeah, your Vox. Yeah. So you let him know, and you just hear, Sergeant, of course we're going to open up the, and then it cuts off again. He heard you again. He was like, and you're good. You're fine. So you're heading out. We have Petal, who is doing what now here?
Besides getting digits. I don't know. I think he sees the group disperse. And he's like, oh shit, by myself. Yeah, if I think we've already seen him get a bunch of money for the Arbiters office, and I don't know. Petal will probably just like find his way towards the general sergeant's area.
Okay,
seeing him forlorn and sad and taken over by people who are trying to engage him because Petal likes to cut to the chase and takes people's money and leave, so he can extradite out of a conversation real fast.
He could. You could even win points, I'm sure, with the sergeant if you were to get him out of it. But we're going to leave it right there. We're going to come over to our party on 3. So we have Alana, we have Pistol, Gaius. You guys were just talking to Cam, and she was asking you if you were interested in joining the dive teams because she still hasn't seen the escorts. But she's not really sure what's going on with that, and you were told to come down here and help, and that's helping, but you don't really know what's going on with that. Do you have a move? What's the situation here?
I believe we were gonna go to the office where the dive team is gonna be operating out of.
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds
She
familiar.
knew where it was happening. She just didn't know much about it.
Right. Did she specify which office that was for you guys? It's all right. I got you. You're fine. So this is going to be basically, there's going to be a team of people who have been working on this, and they're the bookworms. It's a couple of adepts, a couple members from the Mechanicum, and there have been a couple dozen people within the PDF, the Planetary Defense Force. It's basically just like the actual police or security or grunts, more or less. They're going to be involved. Now, this office isn't far. They kind of keep a lot of the administrative things close by. You are right here at the foot of the Mechanicus compound, and they seem to be well prepared for the horrific things happening just beyond. Things that you can still kind of hear and that maybe you're trying to push out. Remember, this is floor 3. Things are just kind of grim to begin with in an already grim world. You have maybe a shaft of light once in a while when things line up just so you might see a bit of sun come through the dust and the soot, smog that's kind of gently resting against the bottom of floor 2. You have public transportation, but it's just not going to be as nice as you'll find elsewhere. Here, you do actually have servitors, kind of spread less and less, with less and less frequency the further you get away from the core of the hive. You are up in the northwestern corner where the Mechanicum operates out of. You're going to find the Arbites office is to the south of that, over on the western side of floor 3. You know that the Mechanicum's office is actually just due east of the Arbites, the Adept's office that you could be addressing for this dive team or whatever this is. That's going to be over on directly to your east. So you can head over there if you want to. She pointed you in that direction. There's public transportation you can take. You can hoof it. It's up to you. You can radio back.
Public transport would be nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
public transport.
I think that's probably the best bet.
Okay, so you see servitors kind of, again, less and less frequent the further you are from the core. Again, our folks who aren't familiar with 40K, a servitor is a real freaky deaky bad situation. The Mechanicum basically see it as a gift. Oh, how wonderful. You've been given the opportunity to be far more machine than man. Oh, how lovely. The flesh is weak and pretty much gross. So, with the transition that someone goes from human to servitor, AI is forbidden. Xenos are forbidden, aliens. Because these things are not human. They're direct threats to humanity. And so AI, not okay. But a gray area is basically a person's brain with trained stimuli and response. And it's basically a machine that was a person. And they're pretty gross. But you've seen them all your lives. You don't feel anything about them at all. But they're extremely expensive. For those who do know a lot about 40K, you're probably thinking, that's a lot of servitors. It's like a lot. Like they're really, 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 really expensive. It's weird. Anyway, but to you, it's nothing. But they are placed around. You are familiar with the services that they provide because you grew up here. You know that you can use them for basic inquiry and hailing public services.
All right, let's hail those public services.
Yes.
You address the servitor. It spits out basically the dial-up tone from AOL. And after about 2 to 5 minutes, somewhere in there, you hear the kind of clicking of an engine with a gentle thrum. Something is approaching from just out of sight. It's dimly lit down here. But here we go. It's coming up, coming around a corner of a building that's really struggling, but it's okay. It's okay. It is struggling, though. Barely missing the people who give the Mechanicum's office a wide berth. Keep in mind, though, this is a very densely populated area. You're inside of a compound, so you don't feel pressured here. When you leave, you pass in a lot of hustle and bustle. So, the public transport shows up, and it gently comes to a stop off to the side outside of the compound of the Mechanicum. You can hop in if you want.
Yep.
I imagine you provide your information of your destination.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're on your way. Now, you were told to come down here and you were to help and you were to deliver the bad news personally to those who were going through the commitment. And a lot of that was due because Gaius, I believe, totally dunked on your sergeant. And Raheem was very upset and was like, no, I want you to go. I want you to have to go give the bad news. Go ahead. Personally. Get in. Go ahead. Go ahead. The tech priest will set you up. And you did. So technically you followed their rules. It's helping to go here. Do you want to...
We delivered the bad news to some people.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got through a few.
Yeah. Quite a few. And it's been a couple hours. You are on your way to this adept's office. This is basically this is a short trip because there aren't a lot of people who are using the service. Out here, you have a lot of people that you're passing very quickly who are kind of, you see little meetings. They're very preoccupied though. A lot of people are starting to decorate. There are people who are, they're having like, not like menacing groups. It's not people who are mobbing in the streets, but there are people who are setting up stands, and you can see that there's an energy about the people. The festival is right around the corner. You guys are about to see a huge jump in the actual work. I don't know where everybody lives, but an example that I think of when I think of this is like whenever it snows in the Pacific Northwest. Everyone's kind of excited and they're all talking about it. Everyone says the same thing where it's like, well, I know how to drive in the snow, so I'll be fine. They don't, but it doesn't matter. Here, you're passing conversations that are like, well, you know, it's hard work, but we got to do it for the hive. I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty efficient. You know, last year we were able to pull up 45 kilos one day. This guy alone, amazing. Pretty good, pretty good. It's a lot of that, and it's actually kind of nice to see because you've heard rumors about floor 3 and how yucky it is, and it's gross, but it's not like you thought. Kind of nice.
It warms my jaded heart.
Yeah, how nice.
I hum a jaunty tune.
Wonderful. Well, you arrive, and it's very plain. Let's get off the public transportation onto the busy street, and you go ahead and tell me what you see.
Where did I put my dice roller? Roll. Whoa.
60.
23.
98.
Well, as it happens, Alana actually sees the exact destination. She knows where it is, and confidently gestures across the street. That's got to be it. There's a very, very, very noticeable building there. Most of the buildings here are not dilapidated. You've got structure here. Again, this is an old facility. Your city is very old, and most of what's here was built with this city. A lot of it is falling into disrepair, but to stress a point, people who built this place knew what they were doing. They kind of expect you to take better care of it and probably leave the city after the initial drilling and mining for resources was done, but that's not how it turned out. So, here you are. There is a very, very ornate city here, though. And, ornate structure compared to those around it. It seems to have been given special reverence by those who crafted it. And Alana sees that building and knows that it has to be where you need to be. I mean, you're looking for a head office for a dive team, something like that was... You're not really sure, but that's gotta be it.
Does anybody want to stop me before I kick the doors open and say hello?
I mean, do either of us see that this is not the building?
You aren't sure exactly, and the instructions weren't terribly specific. She sure sounds confident. If you want to roll further perception checks as you go, you can do that.
Well, I guess we'll walk in that direction, and I will take a closer look.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead.
I
give me
know
another
that's
perception.
the place, so there I go.
Yeah, you're not even going to bother. Why even like chance it?
I just rolled a 5.
You rolled a 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you keenly read with your seeing eyes in plain Gothic that this is actually the ecclesiarchy's, basically where the ecclesiarchy keeps their staff. Not the actual clerics, it's not the actual place of worship, but this is where you'll find a lot of the maintenance. This is where you find devout followers of the ecclesiarchy and members of, effectively, the Church of the Emperor. This is more or less the barracks for the people that keep the doors open. But
okay.
It stands ornate compared to the buildings around it because, of course, you're going to give that building to the people who tend to the temple of the Emperor.
This is not the place that we're supposed to be.
What?
Can I see the place that we're supposed to be? Do I need to roll again?
Yeah, it's right behind you. No, you're good. You can see it because
Okay.
you can read again. You're just like, I think that right there is...
It's the nicest place. It's right. The nicest place is right there. Isn't that where you know?
Yeah, the nicest place is never the library. So.
Oh. Can I take a closer look at it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Much better. 29.
Okay. So, you can see that this is the archive of the Stalwart, and then it's kind of visible. It probably just some ancient dude. Some librarian, sometime, blah, blah, blah.
Well, yes, you are very correct there. That was my fault. And then she just kind of does an about face.
Yes.
This way then.
We trudge across the street.
Yeah. You pass little vendors who are setting up people. The longer you're around, the more green there is. Again, it matches that same green that you see on all your banners. It's everywhere. You see it all. You don't even really see it anymore. It just kind of goes overhead. But you make a mental note. Oh man, that's neat. Oh, fried foods. But you keep going, and you can kind of smell street food kind of wafting through a lot of the other floor 3 smells. But you go to the office here, and again, very plain. it's pretty ordinary. You've got stone and more stone, and you have some gilding, but again, nothing really stands out. You have a very, very, it's kind of a squat building, maybe 4 stories at the most, pretty wide. It's almost this perfect cube. And you have this Gothic lattice work over the windows that were kind of supposed to be there, but they're not really. It's anyway, there's no glass. It's just kind of an opening with the lattice work. And you can see lights here and there. You can head in if you want.
I guess. Yes. Let's go inside.
And D-Beck, Sarah?
Yep. Head inside.
Follower.
Okay. Well, a very grimy looking set of robes, about 5 feet tall, scruffles toward you. Yes.
We're inquiring about escorting the dive team. We heard that there were, y'all were in need of some help.
Oh. Well, I believe we met with our escorts. Did you send more? That's lovely. Well, right this way. And what appears to be a woman kind of shrouded. She really got like a tight set of robes on. It's just bundled and bundled though, so it looks like she's just kind of like a moving stack of robes, just kind of a bundle of laundry moving around. And you get to you kind of passing rows. You get further from the entrance, you see little stacks of books on counters, on shelves, and you start to see filing that's less organized, and you see pages sticking out, and then it's a lot of pages sticking out. You start to see stacks of pages. You see areas that have been completely vacated because of an obvious leak. You can see that they've moved everything away, and it's just kind of a weird open vacant spot in the room. And you hear conversations, little muddled, oh, and just little, what you might hear in a library. People are fastidiously looking through different book titles, but you walk past following the pile of laundry until you arrive at a row of offices. Some doors are open, most of them are closed, most don't have any kind of visibility inside. It's a row of doors with serial numbers on brass plaques. Well, this is the office of... Did you say you were with... She's glancing now, raising her hood, and you can see that most of her face has been replaced. With special...
With the Arbites, floor 1. We were sent down for assistance.
Floor 1. Well, I imagine the commander would be happy to have more help. She kind of raises her hand to the door, not opening it. Raises her hand to the door, and the door opens. And she gestures and scuttles away. Let's get a perception check for the office if you choose to enter.
I am so entering that office.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep,
Right.
85.
Ooh.
26.
What was that, Sarah?
26.
26. Okay. So you're 26. Being the best of it, we'll take it for the group. There's nothing particularly out of order here. You do see that there are shelves, wooden shelves, that line the office with not really much in the way of furniture. You have shelves, they go to the ceiling. You see little step stools here and there where, like, somebody could have moved it, but they just had more step stools. And so you see that there are candles in some areas, lights in some areas. Frankly, with a 26, you're kind of like, you're from floor 1. Everything's lit up properly. You don't see a lot of open flame near books. Probably having some questions about that. But, maybe they know what they're doing and they do it all day, every day. Floor 3, yuck. But you can see that there are actually coats, grungy coats, that you yourselves are wearing. But they've been not folded, kind of skirted to a bin that's sitting on the one desk that sits in the middle of the room.
Is there anybody in here?
There is. There is one person who is madly scribbling, referencing a data template, and about 4 or 5 books they kind of indiscriminately raise their hand to just looking here, there, and then going back to scribbling, kind of fingering through the data pad, scribbling. They haven't even noticed you being here.
I approach the desk and in my most official Arbites voice, say, is it morning time or is it afternoon now?
For you, it's about afternoon.
Okay. Afternoon. Ilana Morgan, Arbites, reporting for assistance.
Almost nothing. Let's get a fellowship from you.
Fellowship, don't fuck
The
me.
figure doesn't seem to notice you yet, or notices and has completely ignored you.
39. I have a fellowship of 30.
Okay. That'll work. They rolled a 95, so yeah, you won. The figure... What? What is it? I told you that I... Are you? Who are you?
We're
Officer
Arbites.
Ilana Morgan?
Yeah.
As she says, Arbites.
Yeah.
She gestures over toward the coats. She has an implant that takes up the majority of one side of her face, and you can hear clicking, just little dials, something like somebody tuning a watch, and she's like, oh, floor 1, you seem to be novice precinct members. Your chapter, floor 1, chapter 1, floor 1, okay. Were you sent directly to help? I don't recall asking for more assistance. I don't need anything more from... Are you here to collect a report?
Well, we can do that. Maybe we got the wires crossed, but we were sent down to the 3rd floor to help with a number of things, and we've completed other tasks, and we're just here to see if there's any additional assistance we can provide or information we can report back to Chapter 1.
I see. Did Sergeant Cam send you? Is that how you found out about this? She's connecting dots that she knows these people. She's kind of been here. She stands up. She has a couple mechadendrites. Those who don't know, they're kind of like mechanicum arms, and she expands and it just kind of fiddles through a couple different pages on a shelf as she walks by. It's almost like the mechadendrites operating instinctively because she's looking somewhere else. So it's almost like muscle memory that it's kind of filtering through the different pages as she walks by. Floor 1. You're Captain Merrick's officers then? Yes. Well, as it happens, I may be of a little need from Captain Merrick. We have run into delays. The pumps, well, our delays, most of the crew is dead. Most of the crew is dead, or perceived dead. Do you have a contact with Merrick that I might be able to get in touch with? It's odd, and it should strike you as odd that she doesn't have the ability to do that on her own. She's of a commanding position, and that's strange. You know that's strange.
What do you need?
Well, you see, I'd like to speak very much to him directly. We have run into complications. We have sent teams through the water passage that we've told Merrick about. He doesn't seem interested and hasn't sent anybody until you. In fact, I was told outright that he wouldn't be sending anybody on another fool's errand, and that his officers were worth more than Cam's officers, if you could believe such a thing. But he said there wouldn't be any support from Floor 1, and that if I wanted to... Well, it's odd that he sent you. Was there someone in particular who coordinated with for this?
We do report directly to Sergeant Rahim.
Well, this is all very strange. But I appreciate the help, and I'll take it. We have an exciting phenomenon. What seems to be air pockets where one can traverse. They have access to some of the old... Let's see, your Arbites. Controls for a lot of the pump mechanisms that allow for pumping, removing of the water. Do you understand? Almost condescending.
I believe we grasped that, yes.
Yes.
We think that we found some below floor 4, which is remarkable because most of that was kind of left because it was where the drilling was done. Oh, you may not know. When this place was built, it was to drill down into the rock. She's speaking almost like she's trying to talk to children because she doesn't know how much you know and doesn't care. But she goes on for a while. Yeah. Well, she goes on for a little bit, and she's like basically explaining that like she sent people down into the actual water and they're drowning. And because they run out of air or they get stuck, anybody who knows a lot about cave diving knows that it gets dicey. When you're underwater, air, it's tough. And they're running into problems, and everybody they send ends up stuck and drowned. It's not good. And Merrick told us that it wasn't going to work, and he wasn't going to send any officers to help. And so it's strange that he sent you, but we're happy to have your help. We think we have another way. A lot of the old pipes for moving water in and out of the drilling mechanism's path are open. We never thought to use them because, well, we don't need to. But we opened them up, and we can actually descend within the pipes themselves down further beneath the hive. And I think that in this way, we can access the controls for the pumps below floor 4. If you're here, it might mean that some of the other floors have come to their senses too. We'll collect a team immediately. If you wouldn't mind. She gestures over at the coats. I don't need these anymore. And she kind of waves at them like they're pungent or something. No aroma you can detect.
They smell like failure.
Do you say that?
Well, no. Maybe under my breath as I pick them up, I'm like, stench of failure.
Well, what we'll do is we'll What we'll do is we'll start a new team. What do we call it? What do we call it? What do we call it? Teams in the past have been, she kind of drops off into inaudible words, turns around, and the mechadendrites start just flittering through the pages that are kind of exposed, hastily shoved here and there, almost organized, but you could tell somebody was just like, I need this out of here, and just shoved it. But they're flittering through, and she's kind of just she's almost forgotten you're there. And it's at this time that I would like you guys to give me another perception check, please.
22.
22. 80?
11.
18.
Oh, 18. Okay, that's way better than 80. Okay.
11.
And I got 11.
You got 11, which means that you are the star here, more or
We
less.
percepted the shit out of that.
Yeah, you did pretty good. So, right now, Debek and Pilar are going to be particularly aware that there's an unsettling. It's hard to really put your finger on, but there are elements to this that just don't add up. There are this kooky commander who is a commander. This is a high-ranking person. It's occurring to you that this is just something is just weird. Something is very, very strange, and she might be sick. There's something odd, and you're just kind of, as you move along, as you move through the structure, as you see the officers' coats, you know that she's been trying to reach Merrick, and Merrick has told her to fuck off, and she spoke with Cam, but Cam didn't have any details. She didn't know anything about what she wanted, but she has coats from Arbites. There are pieces that are missing, and it's obvious.
She also wanted to know if we could contact Merrick.
That's right, and that's weird. She was basically, you could say that maybe
We don't have anything to do with the captain. We were sent by a different sergeant.
That's right. She speaks with Merrick directly, and so she probably thinks of speaking with Floor 1 officials as speaking to Merrick. And you might be able to dismiss that, he told her to take a hike, and maybe that's why she wants you to talk to Merrick. Like maybe you can have a better chance of talking to him. Or if you have a different person to talk to, maybe she's trying to get around that way. Your mom tells you, no, you can't have candy before dinner, so you go ask your dad. He's like, yeah, go to town. And you get in trouble. But this right here is a little more skin in the game than that. But you're noticing, the two of you, that there are just elements to this that are missing. It's not necessarily suspicious, but you both feel like there's something missing. And you hear, aha! Yes! And the commander pulls a book off the shelf, goes back to the desk, opens it up, and begins reading the book, picking up the data pad with one of the mechadendrites, changing a couple of the screens, pulling up a couple different windows on that, and then comparing new books, writing more things, seemingly unaware that you're there.
Can I see what the books are about?
Let me get a perception.
11.
You can see that a lot of these are pertaining to architecture, specifically with hive cities, and you notice something peculiar. You're literate, you can read, but one of the books you can't read. One of the books seems to be written in something else. And as you look closer at it with your 11 here, you notice that it's not even... it doesn't look like it was bound. It doesn't look like it was bound at the time of its creation. It almost looks like these are documents that were kind of bindered into a leatherback, but it's not. It's odd. It's odd. And
I knew I should have taken Scholastic's lore instead of Total Recall.
And
God damn it!
let me get a perception check from our two more observant people who are seeing Sarah peering at the desk with more attention.
60.
You got a 5?
Yeah.
It is immediately apparent to you that the journal, this book, right dead center in front of the commander, has a mix of legible and illegible pieces on it that have printed in very, very, very small letters the accurate and direct accounts of Research and Inquiry Team 1. And it's dated 600 years ago. In fact, you can see just barely with the candlelight flickering, and you almost don't see it. It almost escapes your vision. But you can see that this book was written by somebody with Arbites training. The details are written in the exact same way that you're trained to when you're taking accounts. The bits of information that you can make out in the brighter flickers of light are almost word for word the way you're trained to analyze a situation when you're making a report. This is an old document, and you can tell because the pages are almost worn through, and it appears to be the primary source that this commander is fiddling through. And she has forgotten you're there. She's kind of just lost it. She's just really, really lost the plot.
Do we know for sure that that our captain is Merrick? Or is that...
Yep, he's
That's our captain.
He's had a family member commanding that precinct for generations.
Ah, okay. Because I was like thinking back to episode 1. I'm like, wait a second. Wasn't that...
It's just the same family.
The same family
Makes
is
sense.
through nepotism.
No elections here.
No,
the
no.
dynasty of Merricks.
It is, yep. That's right.
Cool.
Convenient for me, and also because it kept you guys from knowing what was happening right away.
Yeah.
So, you have your team here. Something weird is going on. She seemed to kind of imply that she wanted you to kind of almost just get rid of the coats for her. She had a moment where she was trying to find the name for your new team, whatever your team was going to be called, to take this new annal down below floor 4, which is insane. You've actually never even heard of that.
It's going to be in this book.
Oh.
Right.
Well, do you guys want to do anything in particular?
I mean...
I want to look at the other books.
Okay. So we're going to do that, and we're going to give you the time to properly just kind of, because she's ignoring you. She really can't. She's so busy that she's not even thinking about it. And she is going to do that, and you're going to have all the time in the world to look at them. And so when we come back, you can tell me what you want to do, and you'll have basically won every one of the roles. But we're going to jump up to our top floor right now. So up on floor 1. The team is kind of dispersing. We last left Petal kind of chasing down the captain, who was preoccupied. He was kind of swept up with a bunch of rich people who are lavishly and open-chestedly having loud conversations, both in part from the alcohol and in part from the fact this is great news. Oh, and the festival's around the corner. Oh my, look there, look. Pointing up, you can start to see queues of ships, dots, starting to form procedural lines from people who are here to make their arrangements for pickup or drop off. Oh, excuse me, Sergeant, thank you. Totally right. I misspoke. The Sergeant. So, what is the move here, Petal?
You're muted.
I am?
No, Petal is.
Oh, okay.
Haha, I'm muted. Just
Okay.
kidding. Petal is going to immediately do what he can to clock the sergeant, intercede himself in a conversation, and just be like, "Ah, so funny, fantastic! What an exciting time and an exciting room for change!" And just be like, "Money, money, on to the next one, money." He's come into this room for checks.
Yeah. And as you kind of make your way around, the sergeant just keeps shooting looks at you, and he's like, like holding a hand up to get away, and then somebody leans in, puts a hand on him, and just like gets really, really into whatever the next thing they're talking about is, and the sergeant's like, drawn right back in to the next thing. And so this is kind of what he's doing. He's really locked in there. You're moving check to check to check. Can I get a general, just a D100 from you, Roland? Just a general D100.
D100. A 7? Is
Ooh.
the low number good?
It is. Yeah, low number good. Low number better, high number worse. So, you are going through, and we'll say, just because this was just for a general amount that you've been able to collect, you have collected 200% of the operational costs for the entire next year of your chapter. So you are doing well. You're going to be well funded going forward. You've done your job extremely well. Now let's move on to Petal for a moment, or from Petal for a moment to Baxter. Baxter, I take it you are still with Countess Moneybottoms, is that right?
Indeed, we're on our way to the office chair of her dreams.
Mm-hmm. You took public transport, by the way, something that was probably very alarming to her indeed. Are you on the transport now? Is this something that you scurried away and made great haste to, or are you escorting her leisurely through? What's the situation?
Oh no, it's very leisurely, and since I'm like skilled in scholastic lore, I'm pointing out my knowledge of everything.
And she's more and more confused all the time. You're pointing out scholastic lore, perhaps of the history of certain buildings, of statues, and do you know when we added the warmed air? And the response is just added the. Looking around the public transportation, which is again beautiful. There are organic lattice works. There's gold, just absolutely beautiful. And on a sunny day like this, it's paradise. But she's looking around like she's like surprised by like other people on the public transportation. Like, huh. Like every time she like, it's a very, very new experience for her. And she's listening and kind of like taking it in. Can I get another fellowship roll from you, please?
14.
She rolled a 99. So you are not only charming in all of your efforts, in every word that just it's like a machine printing lace, and she's wrapping herself in it. She's stupefied not only by this fresh experience, but by the wonder with which you've delivered it to her. She can't believe she just lived in a secluded little world, kept away from the delights that Baxter has spelled for her. She's starting to come to grips with it. She's starting to, in the stupefaction of this awe, this experience she's muddling through at your guidance, is starting to come to a focus, but she's not there yet. And so you arrive at the precinct. Tell me, how is it you approach your objective?
So I imagine at the stop before the precinct, there's that, lovely lattice work with all the foliage. I'm gonna pick out a beautiful flower and just put it right in her hair.
She goes to touch it and pulls her hand away, almost taken aback by the gesture. And her gaze just kind of unfocuses and she stares away, and you can tell it was appreciated, but she's having trouble taking it all in. It was definitely points. All right, so you have now arrived at the destination. Your chair awaits. Tell me about it. What's the move? You approach. You've been here before. It's stairs, it's doors, it's offices, there are cubicles involved, and through it all is a chair.
Yes, indeed. I take her directly to it, and before I set her down, I say, "Madam, you're about to experience bliss. Would you also like to wear my hat?"
Wow, this is when you find out it's actual Lindoa. Okay, so go ahead and give me a roll, please. This is going to be a fellowship roll, Nigel.
79.
She got 71. So she technically beat you, but you're in the same realm here. There was no abrasion. She's like, oh, no. The chair, though. This is the chair. And she's going to roll perception. She rolled an 83. So she's pointing at just like a plastic chair over to the side. She's like, my goodness, you're right, it's stunning. And she kind of walks over to the plastic chair right past your chair.
No, my dear. Over this way.
Huh? No, but the chair. This chair? And she kind of adjusts and sits. And go ahead and give me one more fellowship roll.
52.
She rolled a 92. And so she is almost in a coma. She is completely unresponsive and cannot leave the chair. Almost mirroring the Emperor's state. She is having a moment. Perhaps an epiphany. Maybe this is her tree to sit under, like Buddha, where she becomes enlightened. It's hard to tell, and frankly, she can't tell you because she's 92ing it up in here. So she's having a good stare. She's having a Fardley moment. What's the move here for you?
I'm gonna bring her my chair and just sit right next to her in the same sort of state of bliss.
Okay. Blissfully chairing it up like a Cialis commercial. I love it. We're gonna go over to Lindoa now. So we have Gaius, who, it's D-Beck's character. Lindoa's character is the F. It's Fidus. And you were keeping an eye on the Inquisitor. Can I get a perception check from you?
Yeah. 41.
41?
Yeah.
Okay, so you watching the Inquisitor, perhaps your eyes wander, you look around, notice some of the lavish people talking, you hear about money moving from here to there, expected kelp extraction rates, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you see, pulling your attention, sudden, swift movements. The Mechanicum officials, or whoever he's talking to, make very snappy, quick emotions you don't see from people who are having casual conversations. And they turn and begin to move at a brisk pace, not running. These people are probably 500 years old. They're not running anywhere. But they are swiftly making their way to an adjacent building, and the Inquisitor with long strides. Again, given his height, that's not weird. Given his height, he's keeping pace with them very, very well. And they move toward an adjacent building. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Fancy, sure, but this looks like this was a main hall. This might just be a dance, like some kind of like a ballroom specifically. This had a stage to it. There was some grandiose positioning here, posturing here with all the details in this one. The one that you can kind of make out through some of the windows appears to be much more focused on more of a ballroom.
Okay. I definitely want to kind of shadow the Inquisitor a little bit, keeping a distance, but trying to see keep an eye on what was so erratic and why they acted a little more erratic throughout the end of the conversation before they left. Definitely taking a curiosity to what's going on with that, because the Inquisitor made such an impression that it feels right.
Okay. So you keep an eye on him.
I should say.
You're following the important people over to their ballroom. Are you how close of a distance are you trying to keep?
Probably like 20, 30 yards, maybe. Far enough away where I'm not obviously just staring at him and following him, but moseying my way over, taking in the sights. But yeah, I'd say like 20, 30 yards.
Okay. Let me get an agility check from you. This is going to be for effectively a sneak roll, to not just be like, "Hi, I'm coming too."
I got you. I don't got you. 80.
You basically announce your presence by just kind of making a straight line at them. They don't care. They don't care at all. It's two members of the Mechanicum, and you haven't seen them yet, but they enter the door and hold it open for the Inquisitor, who moves in through large double doors with fancy details that were added, gilding after the fact. And he kind of ducks instinctively, but his head would have cleared the sill. He's very tall. Okay. So he makes his way in there. You can't see him anymore. There is stained glass everywhere, but frankly, it's just not a good angle.
And those are the only three that I saw enter in?
That's
or
right.
was there a okay.
That was it.
I think I may, after the door closes kind of behind the Inquisitor, scout around to see if there's any sort of other entrances into this said hall.
Okay. And your observation. Let me get a perception check from you.
Okay. 25.
25?
25, yeah.
Okay. You find that there are service entrances to the side. You pass windows that you can see through along the way. Again, very, very fancy stained glass portrayals of different conquests of humanity. But you do find a service exit. One of them actually propped open just like you would find anywhere. It's nothing alarming, no red flags. It's just a door somebody left open with a rock, effectively. It's like a little piece of wood.
Okay. I definitely want to try to get in there to eavesdrop a bit. So I would take that entrance, but as nonchalantly as possible. And I do want to kind of keep an eye on if anybody's following me, following them kind of thing too.
So we're gonna leave it right there for a moment. Let's get back to our scum here. Petal, you are the champion of the day. Coffers overflowing. 200% of your precinct's budget already acquired by you alone. You know the sergeant's been at work. What's the move next?
I'm gonna basically just like buddy up to the sergeant, you know, haha, take a champagne glass, have a sip, party, waddle my way over, and just be like, "So are we like good? We're done. How much? What?
What was that? The sergeant.
Petal was so chill.
Yeah. What? What was that? I'm sorry, please. Excuse me, my lord, my lady. One of the great heroes of our chapter needs my attention. I have one moment, please. I'm so sorry to cut. I'm sorry to cut you. I don't want to. Wow, what did you need? What? We have to go? Oh no! We have to. Weep. Let's go.
Yeah, Petal just like sort of grabs him so much shorter than
we have to.
It's like
weep. Let's go. And he just walks away with you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, bye. Thank you. Yeah, so busy. Thank you, bye. So much, bye.
They keep talking, just kind of shifting attention to the next person as if nothing was different. All right. So, you have wrangled the sergeant away, and he's almost hoarse. He's just been... Where are the others?
Oh, good question. I wasn't watching. I was getting money.
Good. Voxing, the other two, Baxter and our Fidus. I don't know why. I think it's because we have Fidus and then we also have Gaius, and so I don't know why it's so easy to do. But he boxes over to the both of you. Report.
We're at the office, sir, with Lady Moneybottoms.
Oh.
She's browsing our chairs and you know, maybe she'll
she's
buy
gonna
all of
replace
them.
our chairs? Well, I don't think that was something we needed, but I think we have enough here. We should be fine. Very well. Fidus, what's happening?
Wait, what? Fidus or?
Yes, isn't that you, Lindoa?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I was
Yeah,
following in.
The sergeant is asking
like,
for your position, where you're at.
Oh, he's sorry. I was typing in Discord. I'm currently shadowing the Inquisitor, keeping my distance, but seeing kind of what's going on, and if there's any opportunities for me to pick up some extra change for the Arbites, you know. So I'll let you know what I hear.
I have like 150% of our expenses.
Fantastic.
Did you say the Inquisitor?
Also, why are you
Yes.
following the Inquisitor?
Leave him alone. You have to go. What are you doing?
I'll be back shortly. I'm doing a little bit of
Where are you?
a little look around. I'm outside the party right now, not too far.
We need you to report back at the precinct right now. You
I'll
leave
get
him alone.
right on that,
We don't
Sarge.
want anything to do with that. Nothing to do with any of that. Nothing to do with that.
You gotta get it scripted to fight Xenos.
I hear you, Sarge. 10-4. I will be back at the precinct ASAP.
Very good. And do not, under any circumstances, talk to anyone. Just nobody. Just go back. Just go back.
I don't know, the Inquisitor seemed pretty nice to me.
We're gonna go. So we
copy
have
that,
to go.
Sarge. I'll
We're
be
just
back
gonna.
there
You
soon.
said 150%. That's incredible news. Where do you have? Let me collect these from you here. let me look these over. We need to make sure we don't need any signatures before we actually leave the party, or maybe there was some kind of a date, some kind of an official seal or a stamp or a ribbon or whatever the hell, maybe some wax drippings in the wrong box. I need to look it over so it's official before we go. So
Pedal hands over some checks.
You exchange the documents promising X thrones from X accounts. Great. He's looking through it as you guys walk back toward the public transportation. And do you have anything else you want to bring up before you leave the scene here?
So what's the whole deal with like Fleur? Are they like making an expedition? Are they planning on hiring teams? If we're gonna get back in, how do we get back in?
I don't really know. The captain doesn't seem to be interested in that. He seems to think it's a fool's errand, and he honestly doesn't. I don't know a lot about it. I shouldn't say. Wow, really? This looks like it's almost great work. He's kind of looking over it, kind of having his mood lightened by how much money you're handing him. Go ahead and give me a roll for fellowship, please.
Yeah, that's a 3.
He got a 16. I thought I had you. No, he
Get right.
No, he's like, okay, well, a 3. So he's going through. It's not my place to say. 2,700. Wow. The captain says he's been told to leave it alone. What's really funny though is I could have sworn the captain was told to leave it alone before. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And he just goes back to the documents and just keeps shuffling. And after a couple pages, he's like, yeah, it's a waste of time. Basically a way to drum up excitement. I don't know. Maybe investment. I don't know. And just kind of keeps going through, looking over the documents, making sure there's no errors because it all has to be filed correctly for it to go through.
But the captain was told twice? Am I understanding that correctly?
It seems as though the captain was told. He said that the captain was told that it was going to be something to ignore. The captain told the sergeant to ignore any requests for aid regarding this pump business. But the sergeant seemed to imply that, and maybe he just got the dates wrong, he seemed to imply that he was told to ignore it before any kind of an announcement, an official telling, was made regarding the pumps or exploration.
Copy. Petal just takes that little piece of information and holds it to his chest. Unlike his fancy new coat that as soon as he leaves the party, he unfurls.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And like everyone's just like, oh, look, he's wealthy as well. Great stuffing.
And in the office, Baxter feels a sudden sense of just rightness.
Yeah, well, of course you do. In fact, your guest has now kind of come to. And can I get one more fellowship from you, please? Oh my God.
31.
98 from her. And
Why is she so bad?
And so she looks to you deep into your eyes, touches a fingertip to the flower in her hair. Thank you. What do you want? Anything. What did you say your name was?
Baxter Berenstain, of the top tier Berenstains.
The top tier Berenstains. Okay. Oh, well, and so you shall be. I'm going to keep this chair, Baxter.
Oh, of course. Please.
To memorialize this moment, this piece of craftsmanship that couldn't even be from our time. Thank you. I'll send for the chair tomorrow. Please, keep an eye open for transcripts. As we move forward in this venture, we have to be careful, but I think that you'll have all the funding you need. This is... Even though nothing was really addressed, she's kind of working something else out herself, and she's committed to seeing you compensated for everything you're doing. The chair? I don't know. He really wanted a chair and rolled incredibly to see a chair, and that's become that's his whole narrative now.
Also a hat. Don't forget the wizard hat.
Your aluminum foil hat. That's right. That's right. So yeah, she takes one last lingering, almost cautious look, as if it's going to be different than she remembered it, as she turns around to look at the chair, and then, almost filled with elation in that moment, briskly, excitedly scurries off like a schoolgirl. It's almost heartwarming to see anyone so happy, and she truly is, top to bottom. But she scurries out the door. What's your move?
I'm just gonna let the Sergeant Sweaty Palms, I think his name is. Yeah, I'm just gonna let him know. Secured some funding for some more office chairs. You'll be happy to know.
Oh. Finishing up the filing, he and Petal step off the public transportation. Putting them into a pouch he has, just like a letter bag. That's excellent. That'll be really great.
Also,
where's the other one?
Sergeant, if you'd like to sample the office chair, be my guest.
What? No. Where's the other one? Arbites Fidus, right? Fidus? Where is he? I told him to be back here.
Fighting Xenos.
He's dead.
After he got off the comm with Sergeant, I feel like he still would have tried to get in, spend like the next 10 to 15 minutes to see if he could get any sort of eavesdrop going before he would actually head back to the precinct.
Yeah. Give me a perception
Which
check.
I guess could
You've
have been
been
happening.
there 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to be with advantage.
Okay. 40.
Okay. So you do. And you perceive. What you perceive is a large room. Again, your hunch that it was set up just for dancing, pretty well confirmed. Although you've never been in the room personally, you're seeing a lot of what you would expect to. There are columns that kind of support a second tier, very similar to the first room you had. The kind of meeting room at the larger hall you were just at behind you. It's just fancy ass place next to another. And there's gilding, gold oak leaves going up the pillars, and carved into 4 of them are the same statues of what you recognize as power armor clad fairy tales. It's the thing that, the idea of an Astartes, the idea of the Astartes, they probably aren't real, but these are even exaggerated for Astartes. It's like a children's story, the Astartes, and there's no way they don't exist. And to be fair, this is a dramatic representation. This, with the scale, would have to be twice the size of an Astartes if this column or the statues in the other room were to be believed. There's not really... This is, but it's all just for artistic representation. Understood. Okay, all right. But what you see is that the tech priests you saw are huddled back by the main entrance. Quite a bit away from them, toward the center of the room, at the base of one of the ornate pillars with one of these fairy tale beings, is the tall man. The person that you would call the one you've been calling the Inquisitor. And one of the reasons that you can so easily hear him is that he's clearly using some kind of augmentation to project himself. And there's another man with him who seems to be much less happy to be there. Much, much less happy to be here. The tall man.
Can I make out anything of note about this?
Their
new
backs are
character?
both to you.
Okay.
And
Much shorter, I take it? Much
he's
shorter
always
than the
much
tall
shorter.
man?
Because the tall figure,
It's like 7 something. You
yeah,
said?
he's like 7'6". He's truly enormous. It's taller than anyone ought to be, and he's not like huge. He's not like bulky or anything. He's just clearly had work done. Weird work. But what are you gonna do? It's hard to really make anything out. He has a really, really bizarre cloak on. And the guy next to him, you can't really see much about him. But in kind of a position of dominance, really, the tall figure has his elongated hands wrapped around the back of the shorter man's neck, and he's kind of leaning over to him, speaking down to him. And you can hear the words, but there's actually an echo in the room. It's almost distorting it. And he's saying some kind of unsettling things. I actually want you to roll this is going to be a willpower check for you, please.
Okay. 37.
37. Okay,
I
we're
have
going
a
to get back
willpower
to
of
that.
30. So
We're going to get back to that one. So, putting a pause on top floor, we're going to the bottom floor. Our folks in the office, we're going to look around, and then we're going to observe, and they get to observe everything they wanted to observe. What are we observing, gang?
Books, man.
All right. The books are here. They're everywhere. They are open. They're closed. Some of them put back on the shelves
Specifically,
open. Some of the books are halved and just kind of put up there. It's not good. What's going on? What are you looking for?
specifically, we're looking. Oh, well, I was looking to see if there were books that, like all kind of match the book that the commander is reading, or if there's any ones that stand out as like very weird or suspicious, since we're already getting a weird vibe.
As you navigate through this library, you're looking around and you're seeing through the drops of candle wax that people have just kind of held too close. There are some singe marks on some pages. Even the shelves kind of have seen some residue from candle smoke as people have just kind of held close to read. And can I get a willpower roll from you, please?
Yes. I'm using a dice roller on the computer this time. 25.
You are startled, but you quickly maintain your composure as you move some books to the side. A servo skull kind of thrusts out at you and then whizzes out of the door that's been left open. Let's go to the next character here. We're going to have Pilar's character here. It is, am I saying this right? I have it written down. It's Ethis, is that right?
No.
No.
It is Issa Sternhart, also known as Pistol.
Pistol is what I have. But I wanted to make sure I had the name. I cannot read my own handwriting. So
It's okay. I wrote it in the I changed my name in the Discord. So.
Oh, okay. So we'll go with Pistol. It's way even easier.
Yeah.
And we want to go with we're going to go with what you're looking for. What is what you're seeing? What are you looking for?
I am looking to see if there are any actual reports that are from like the current period of time that give sort of like an accurate representation of what we're dealing with, more so than, like, because who knows if she's stuck in the past, and confusing the past with the present when she's giving us information.
Well, what you find is that she does have quite a mix of documents. Some loose leaf. There are some scrolls she's pulled open and she has pulled open on the desk. She's looking at books. She has actually pulled 2 more data slates out in the time you were looking around. And she's kind of like getting fixed with one and then almost startled sees her desk again and begins reading some more on her desk. She's just kind of moving through things almost brazenly. She's really just kind of moving from one document to the next. It's really, you're definitely starting to pick up that she's confused. But you do find that there are documents here from the current age and very few documents from anything around the time period other than basically reports of casualties, confirmed people who were missing or dead from the reports of the teams sent to go actually provide aid and assistance to the people who were being swept away by the hive opening up on the bottom floor. It's very, very casualty focused, missing people. You can see that there are enormous numbers of people who were never accounted for, and they stopped looking after like 5 days because the festival, as you can see here in some of the stuff that's kind of reading over her shoulder, due to the necessity put on by the revolts on 3, all attention was shifted from search and recovery and moved into stamping down the pissed off people who had been saved. Is it increasing? No, because these are the final reports. This was from 600 years ago. So it's the people who were missing a long time ago. And so these are the final reports where you're seeing that like this many people were found, these many people were found dead, these many people, no news, and we stopped looking because we had to move our efforts to stamping down the pissed off rebelling people who frankly needed to get the fuck back to work.
Okay. I guess then she's in this room alone as far as we can tell, right?
She is, yes.
Besides that servo skull that almost took out my nose.
Yeah, truly. But I mean, I don't know. Do we see anything about like the recent dive? Like, I want to know if the recent dive team actually is dead or if she's confused about that. And
do you want to, you can see that the information from the dive team is on one of the data slates. She's not currently looking at it. You can make a move for it.
I will.
All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and assume that you can work an iPad. I'm also going to assume that... Go ahead.
I would hope so at this point.
And frankly, this is going to be even more simple than an iPad. These don't really get updates. It's been the same since long before you were born. And
fair enough.
You kind of have seen them enough in your documentation and your training for Arbeites. It's not something that, it's not genius work. Pull it up,
gotcha.
And you can sift through. Give me a test on your tech. We're going to see how swiftly you can move through the files here.
Okay. That, not good. 81.
81. What's your tech?
My tech, I don't think I have tech.
So it'll be your intelligence.
Intelligence. 2, so that makes it 61.
61. Wow, great. So, all right. This wasn't a crazy thing. This was not some big feat. This was just something that we needed to have a certain margin of failure. You don't find everything, but you're finding consistent reports from the team made via a relay reporting what they came across, and then they stop. There was no more. You used to have a kind of a negative and a positive pressure with the airports that were being, or the air pumps that were being used to keep a consistent supply of air down to the team, and you stopped receiving negative pressure. There was no more demand. It cut off, and there was no more air being sucked out.
What's the last?
Sounds like death.
What was that?
Does it indicate what the last report date was and how long ago from this particular moment?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh fuck.
And let's see. Give me one more roll. It's going to be a tech roll as well.
Okay. 54.
Okay. Yeah, you can also see that certain private individuals whose names you don't recognize immediately. It's nobody who runs the show, but it's people who clearly have money because they've moved enormous amounts of money for this project into kind of, you can think of it as the archivist fund for this particular organization. They're really interested in opening up the pumps again and kind of bringing industry to floor 4.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna make a note of those.
This was
names.
very, very recent. Yeah, and it's something that, like, I'll tell you what, I'll DM you the names afterward because it's not super important, but I want you to have the information you're looking for, and it may be, depending on how you pursue it, it could be that it does really come up. So, but there are names that you see kind of correspondence with very, very recently, like as recent as like 4 days ago, and then large amounts the day after, and then it kind of stops off. It just kind of drops off, but it's only been a couple days, so it could be that from what you saw, they're waiting on replies or some kind of information. And let's go to D-Best character Gaius. Gaius, let's get your check. What are you looking for?
Causes of death.
Cause of the death, like, from whom?
From different Arbites members going down and getting lost and.
Okay, yeah. So you can see on the desk here, there are rough sketches of some dumb-looking, almost like some kind of like a Renaissance sketching of like some kind of like a weird bulb that was being lowered with tubes down into the water, with a couple apparatus being worked on by stick figure tech priests in the drawing. And you can see that the idea in a couple rough sketches was to lower this bulb down to 4, and at a spot that they were being able to peer through, it looked like there was a lead. It kind of drops off from there. The implication was that they were underwater and they had air that was being piped into them. Pairing that with Pilar's notes, nobody was asking for air. So, probably suffocation.
Or they were disconnected.
Yeah.
With no air. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no good. So that's where that was from. Were Arbites there. You do see notes here that you have I'll tell you what, why don't you give me one more roll? $100.
Let's go.
Peering over the desk, excited about a document that you saw that seemed to be a letter that had been returned to sender, the commander here. You can see her letterhead. You can see that she asked, why do we need our biddies? I just need adepts and tech priests. And you can see that it was received, stamped, and then sent back to her. And as you lean in to investigate this envelope, you actually lean in over a candle and burn your eyes in the smoke. You're not used to dealing with candles. You have fucking lights on the top floor. And you're kind of pissed off, and you're going to suffer a minus to both visual perception checks and, due to your soured mood, fellowship rolls. Until we're done, which is pretty recent.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know how you really got a 100 again?
Yeah.
Wild. Okay, so with that in mind, we have a lot of you guys just kind of fiddling through, and you're finding all kinds of things, and it's all very strange. It's starting to paint something close to a picture. You do notice that the servo skull has returned, and of course, Elena was startled by it. She got a good look at it. She knows it's the same one.
It was only a 93.
What's that?
D-Beck put it in the chat.
Oh, it was only 93?
Because yeah, you rolled a 100-sided die and it gave you a 93. You don't need the D10.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that
still sucks.
The rollers online, they combine the tens place ones with the D10.
Mm-hmm.
Or the hundreds place one with the D10, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a 93. Like, it still really sucks, but
It wasn't
it's terrible. And honestly, it doesn't really change your outcome. You got smoke burned. You'll be able to rub it out of your eyes, but it's it's nothing permanent. But you're kind of pissed off about it, and so you're gonna have poor fellowship now, at least for a little bit. Your mood clears up. But seeing the servo skull kind of waft back into the room, it moves toward just a shelf across the room from you guys, a couple data slates, and it picks up a book that it pulls off the shelf and begins to whir out of the office down the hall.
I am following that.
Okay. You follow.
Servo skull is weird.
Well, it's just doing servo skull things. That's really all it's doing. But it...
Yeah, I want to see what it picked up, though. I'm curious what it was interested in.
Okay. You see that it moves through the ducts made for servo skulls, and it kind of moves up into a tube above you, and you see a couple servo skulls follow it up.
Balls. Okay, well, I guess I'll go back in. I want to talk to the commander here, because she was looking for a name for our team.
Yes.
And she's looking in that book that accounts, like, the old... what happened on floor... and so... I wanted to perhaps suggest some operation names to her to kind of move this along.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you begin to do that. And let me get a perception check from everybody. Remember, D-Beck, yours is gonna suck. Oh, it's a 7, not a 1. Anyway, go ahead.
13.
13?
8.
8?
40.
Ooh, okay.
Oh,
So,
wait.
you're in the middle of names. Let me hear a name from each of you. What are you gonna name your team?
Threaded Gold.
Threaded Gold. Team Threaded Gold. Gonna go into the pipe and do some stuff. Some switches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're also thinking of Deep Blue.
Deep Blue. Threaded Gold. Deep Blue. Love them both. So good. That's how you're gonna get in there. I get it. There's Deep. There's Blue. Good. And D-Beck with your 8.
have nothing.
Okay. So the I have nothings. It's not inspiring, but it's accurate. Nobody has anything yet. Maybe this is a story of rags to riches. The I have nothings. What a team name. Might be the one you go with. I love it though. It's pretty good. And actually, you get word, just a buzz by, because the servo skull very, very quickly darts between the two ladies, and it stops in front of the commander here, who is kind of muttering to herself. And in a robotic voice, you hear it, message from sender. No, you idiot! I said the book the hag is reading. It's like a journal. It doesn't have gothic in it. And the message cuts off. And it just kind of scans the desk, and it just kind of like has a little pincer that it's kind of like fiddling through different pages with, looking for a book or whatever. And it's doing that while y'all are pitching names to somebody who doesn't really seem to know you're there.
Did we, by any chance, recognize that voice?
No, nothing there. It was a woman's voice. She seemed agitated because something, presumably the wrong book was brought to her. Okay.
Womp womp to her, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It does seem to find it eventually. It grabs the folder and begins to move it from under where she's leaning, and it starts to tear pages as it's trying to pull it out. It's a very old book. It does appear to be written on something akin to paper.
Preservation of text. Can I help it?
Yeah. Well, how do you do it?
I'm gonna assist it. I'm gonna try to help it get the page it wants without ripping it to shreds.
Roll a... I'd like a
okay.
dexterity from you. This is a very, very old document.
For fuck's sake. 86.
Okay. You go and you grab the book. No damage to the book, but the servo skull misinterprets your intention, and you hear a couple little short little snaps going off within it, like something is arcing incorrectly, and it whirs over to your face and says, message from sender. No, you idiot! I said the book that the old hag is reading. It's a journal. It says, it looks like it's... And it cuts off. And it's like right in your face.
Can I talk to it?
Yeah.
My input is gonna be, identify message from sender.
Okay. And we're going to leave you right there. And we're going to go back to where we left Fidus. Fidus was eavesdropping. And it was a tall figure speaking to a shorter figure. And
Was he the one with the long hands?
the tall figure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has his hands on the nape of the neck of somebody who appears to have a very submissive posture. And the tall person gestures up at the column. And Lindoa, can I get another perception from you? Just to know what kind of detail we're going to have.
Yeah. 99.
No.
What'd you get?
99.
99. All right. So, what you hear is this. I don't know. And it's booming. This is echoing. This is clearly somebody who is... well, hold on. We're going to have... it's echoing off the pillars. It's just rattling around. You can barely hear it. I don't know if you're the dumbest man I've ever met. Or if this is some kind of poor attempt at blanketing heresy. And you can see the man who is kind of in the unfortunate position between the two, the smaller man, kind of lean and gesture, and you can't hear him. And he is saying something, you can't hear it, but just by the body language and the taller person leaning down, it seems like he's trying to listen. Innocent? Magistrate, no. No, there is no innocence here, Magistrate, just degrees of guilt. He gestures at the statue and seems to turn off his augmentation. There's just some kind of a something. You don't know exactly because you don't really know a lot. You can see the tech priests haven't really moved. They're just kind of watching over by the door. The conversation does take a dramatic decrease in volume, though. He gestures over at the tech priests. One of them comes to him. Another one leaves. And rolling a 14, the taller person stands up, sees you, and begins to walk toward you.
Oh, okay. Which character was using the word magistrate? And
the tall
who
one.
were they talking to?
The
tall
taller
one was
figure.
calling the shorter man magistrate.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I noticed that he sees me and is walking towards me. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's not hard. It's hard to miss.
Yeah. I think I note that the Inquisitor was talking to the magistrate. I guess as a little sidebar, would Fidus know what that means? And
You
can
know who the
Wendell
magistrate is.
what that means?
The ultimate governance for your hive city was just speaking to an Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor was very angry, making bizarre, unsettling accusations.
Okay. Fidus wants to get the fuck out of there, and wants to bolt out the way he came.
Okay, you do.
I do.
Okay, let's get an agility run. How well do you bolt?
All right.
Roll for bolt.
9.
9.
Let's go. Finally.
You bolt hard and well.
God, where it counts.
You bolt swiftly. You are on your way and you're ready to go. You found new spirit, maybe from the Emperor himself, shoved an enema of giddy up and get the fuck out right up there for you. You are gone. You don't even need public transportation. You're in a hot huff all the way back to the precinct. I'm assuming that's where you were going,
shit.
or did you have another objective in mind?
Yeah, no, heading back to the precinct, making sure not to be followed. And once
true.
I feel like I had a good enough distance, I would take my incessant sprint to more of a brisk walk, not to seem too alarming on my travels. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you are just kind of I've been here. This is where I am. Tell me about your what are you doing?
Oh, am I already back at the precinct?
I mean, eventually. Do you want to stop for candy? We could do that too. There are shops, lovely little shacks, pinstripe.
If there is any sort of like random odd and end tech shops for little gadgets and gizmos, I would like to pop in.
Give me a roll.
Okay. 77.
77. So there is, but we won't be going there today, and you will have access to it. But it's kind of like if you've ever been to like New York, there are all kinds of like going out of business sales on stores that never actually go out of business, and they're like, oh, we're selling everything like 50% off, and it's like cell phones that are flip phones, and you're like, nobody uses these, but it's weird. You can go there, you'll have access to it, but it's something that we'll do that another time. That happens.
Yeah, we can.
You'll be
DM
able
it or
to
something.
start with that next time. but we're gonna go over to our crew in the well, it's gonna be on floor 3. So let's go to floor 3, folks. You have the servo skull. You asked it who it is it works for, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really have a lot of function, but it kind of processes. You can hear the same sparking, like something's not working correctly. You can hear it's trying to make a connection. It's trying to make some kind of a process work, but it's a little damaged. It's
Can
still
I
right in your
tech use
face.
it?
Sure.
All right, let's see if I roll something better than what I rolled earlier.
And by the way, you were able to get the book out eventually.
Oh, good.
It's a
Was it the book that the commander was reading?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I rolled the 24
Mhm.
to kind of like smack it upside the head to see if it'll
yeah.
work the way it's intended.
It makes a short, and you can hear kind of static, like it's trying to say something. You may have made things a little bit worse. You may have helped. It's hard to say. It's not really working well, but it didn't really push things forward. It does seem to understand your intention, though. And so it goes down to the journal you have in your hand, does a scan of it, and begins to kind of hover off down the hall, this time passing the tube.
Okay, I'm going to follow it.
All right. And then how do the rest of us proceed?
I'll follow.
Alrighty. Anything you want to do with this office here? Before you leave?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think so. Kind of just want to, well, maybe like nicely lay aside the uniforms of the folks that are probably never coming back.
Okay. Do you take them with you, or are you leaving there?
We'll leave them there,
Okay.
just so that way they can be found again.
Okay. The person at the desk, the commander here, she continues to move her fingers along the desk as if the journal were still there. And she's saying words out loud as if the journal were still there, as if she were reading them. Maybe from memory, but she's clearly not reading anything. It's the last
She's
thing
got
you see when you
the
close the
tech
door.
priest brain disease, but
Yeah,
I don't know
sure.
that.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
are now.
It's not great for tech priests. It's not a good outcome.
No.
But you do have a. You're following what seems to be a servo skull on its way back to a message from sender. So.
Right. It's doing its best.
Yeah. So that's that. That's actually where we're gonna leave it today, you guys. We actually went a little long today because we had that bit of an intro about the leveling and stuff. Wanted to make sure that was squared. That's where we'll leave this session. Is there? We're closing the book on the characters, and we'll be returning to them. I think it's moving along at an okay pace. Next week, we'll be in the past. And we actually, what's really, really interesting, I mentioned, thank you, Caldwell. We had I mentioned that we would have had combat. There was really a lot of combat we didn't have, huh?
Yeah.
Who are we supposed to be fighting?
What's really crazy
truly.
is that we took that divergence right away, and we were going away from it from right away. It was
For us on floor 3?
down on floor 3. There
Yeah,
were
I imagine-
potentials. I really don't want to get into the nuance of it because it's not something that like
Matters right
yeah, it
now?
doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's fine. It's really not a big
It
deal.
takes away.
But huh?
I feel like it kind of takes away from what the story that is.
Yeah,
being told
exactly. Like,
is
I don't want to tell you like what
yeah.
could have been. We're in the middle of going
Right.
through it, so it's
Yeah,
well,
maybe those guys like stage a prison break or something. I don't know
We
how
just
that
pissed off
tech
somebody
priest
at the
would have
party.
fucked him up.
Well, it's a good thing Petal put that coat on. Otherwise, there would have been, fight.
I'm so mad. I like to fidget and roll my dice, and I just got a nat 1. Where was that?
I rolled 3 separate 7s during this. Not 4 things. One of them was for one thing, like an actual roll. But I kept rolling, and I was like, "Is that another 7? What the fuck?" Assault craft on floor 1. That is in the past. That's in the past, yeah. So that's where we're picking things up. Is Nigel's impromptu tank commanding, just an assault vehicle with the quasi siege on floor 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, isn't there 4 of them up there?
There are, but you're in one of them, and the rest are just kind of like, this isn't what I
Following your
expected.
lead.
This isn't what I expected. This is nice. What is this? Where are all the people? Yeah. So that's yeah. So yeah, everybody's gonna be in the past next week. I'm gonna end the actual session, the actual recording here. So everybody who watched or watches in the future or whatever, hi. Thanks, and bye for now.
Comment, subscribe.
But
Punch
everybody
the
in the Discord,
notification bell.
hang out in the Discord just for a moment. And